everyone, and welcome back. Today we are looking at the I Joe Snowcat. The Snowcat was first released in the United States back in 1985 and included the driver Frostbite. It was also sold in 1986 and then fortunately discontinued in 1987. It says that this carries up to 10 figures. Now, one of the things I always remember in G.I. Joe is we always had people kind of hanging off the sides of the vehicle, so that is very possible. So, looking at Frostbite here, um, Frostbite was first released as part of the fourth series back in '85, packaged exclusively with the Snowcat Arctic Assault half track vehicle. He was also sold in '86 and then discontinued domestically in 1987. Um, let's see. So, looking at the Snowcat, we have a nice front view, and then let's see, we have a rear view, and we start getting our side views. And we have kind of ski torpedoes here as far as missiles go that are put onto the side here. It was a very interesting way of doing this. Um, and yeah, in the snow, I guess it kind of makes some sense, or at least it did when I was a kid. I'm not going to really argue too much against it even today. There's got to be some merit behind it, and I'm sure that somebody's tried it just to see how well that works actually in the snow. Um, as we get all of our views. The only thing I think I would change up if I was doing this today, and I think I've mentioned it for one of the other vehicles. We have a launcher for four missiles here. Once you've shot off your four missiles, unless you have a kind of like a bay in the back here to reload them or whatever, you're kind of just a transport at that point. And I'm not going to say that there's not some sort of storage bay in the back for extra missiles. Um, and that's a very big possibility. I guess my only thing is if I was doing this today, if I could have, whether it's two or four missiles, and then maybe a 50 caliber machine gun or so, or seeing that we're talking about lasers, some sort of laser cannon up there as well. That way, if you're out of missiles, you still have something else there that you can actually try and use to keep um, fighting on. So that's the only reason why I'd say to change anything up here. Um, but as far as it being a quick response vehicle for more of an Arctic situation, yeah, it works. Um, it's a missile launching platform, so depending on how the missiles are set up, maybe they're um, laser guided or something like that. And somebody's actually spotting a laser onto the opposing force or whatever the case may be. Um, maybe it's got its own guidance. I don't know. Um, we never really worried about that when I was watching the show, so I'm just throwing this out here as me being an adult and in today's situation. So, looking at the easily broken and or lost pieces, the Snowcat included a windshield wiper, and the two ski missiles which were easily broken or misplaced. Also, the tabs on the missile rack were prone to breakage. So, uh, some of the things that you'd always have to kind of watch out for. So we have a nice view here in one of the Arctic scenes of the Snowcat being there. And when you look at the figures here and you look at the Snowcat, these are some fairly hefty missiles here. So, like I said, if you could have some sort of laser cannon or something on the top of the turret, would be a wonderful addition in my thought process here. So, and of course, we have a European GI Joe European mission here, um, and then we kind of go around the Snowcat. And what do we have here? So this looks. I'm not going to say old field card for it, but all right, a half-track mobile unit with snow canopy, heat-seeking ski-mounted torpedoes, and missile launcher. Has a driver of Frostbite. It's a 9-liter 680 horsepower direct ignition engine slash transaxle assembly. EF3 high back individual uh, competition seats, four wheel half track drive, high traction off road mud snow tires, snow plow front apron panel. Um, so I guess the question here is, if you're making this today, and just bear with me, um, this very easily could have been made off of, say, like the U.S. Army's half or deuce and a half. And then do you just change up the tires and put on the tracks, or do you keep the standard tires? And we have essentially like a rubberized track system that we can put on today. And I don't know if that was really something that was available back then in the 80s, um, or do you have tracks that you put on over the tires, or do you just run different tires or whatever, and do it on a like I said, a deuce and a half, and then we can try to kind of change up the canopy and all that stuff. Um, I really don't have the answer to that, but you know the question, because somebody had made a comment that people like me had fallen in love with GI Joe so many years ago, and it's hard trying to get us old timers away from um, a real American Heroes franchise. How do we update all this? So I'm just kind of throwing some of this stuff out there. Um, if you could take the tracks off and just run regular tires, you could use the same platform in different situations. Um, just looking at it in those regards. Again, now we have the missiles on the ski sleds. If you're in a warmer environment, you could take those off, and then it's still a missile launching platform, whether you leave the tracks on the back or not. Um, we go from there. And I know that they did come out with the Snowcat as a um, Tiger Force vehicle. So, and I'm sure that we're going to see that here shortly. Staying alive in sub-zero temperature, the frozen barren tundra is the name of the game for the G.I. Joe Snowcat. The three-man half-track mobilization unit is the most mobile and formidable Arctic fighting craft ever made. When these units were deployed, they would put the freeze on Cobra with bone-numbing determination. Let's see. And then we have this as like a GI or from Monopoly, a GI Joe Monopoly, which I'm just gonna have to look that up. And then someone's got like a real micro vehicle of it, and this is it as a transformer, um, which I don't really remember, but it's a very interesting take on it. I like it. And of course, now this is in the Rise of Cobra game, so we have a Snowcat facing off against a um, his tank. And of course, his tanks keep evolving over time. And, I guess I would say that they kind of need to. Um, I, admittingly here, I picked up, and they're junior books, and then we have our commercial spot here. I picked up the commercial books. They're as audiobooks when we bring GI Joe into today's day and age, and this is some of the Joes are as kids, which I don't know if I'm really a big fan of or not, but it is what it is. So we have the Snowcat, the Tiger Cat, a Devastator for Street Fighter movie, back to the Snowcat in 2003, the Wolfhound in 2010, Havoc Mark II, and Cobra Ballistic. Okay, all using the same frame. Japan and the Netherlands had some different box art. So getting back to where I was going on this, and these went for almost $7 back in the 80s. Very interesting. So, like I was saying, you know, reading the book, and it's trying to update everything into today's day and age and trying to get it so kids are involved in it, um, and taking from what one of the viewers, and I might even be one of our subscribers, which is fine. You know, I'm always open for different opinions on things because I'm no great scholar as far as that goes. I know some things, but I'm not going to say I'm the best. But how do we always update this to get it to being in today's day and age? And when we look at bringing GI Joe, do we make the Joes younger? I know they did the GI Joe Renegade, which it wasn't too bad. Um, it's funny how we've changed Cobra to being a corporation. And I've raised up in one of the other, who is Cobra? Um, is Cobra really going to be a corporation? Is it going to be an entity of its or a different entity? Some of the things I've learned over the years is if you're a corporation or a corporate entity of any sort, instead of having everything under one name, if you have it under different names and different licenses and stuff like that, people don't fully understand exactly how big you are. So I think when we look at these corporations and say you're a huge corporation and everyone can see you, you make yourself a big target. If you're a big corporation but you own all these other ones and and it's hard to try and figure out exactly who owns who and how everything goes, there's a little bit more anonymity there. It's harder for people to understand exactly who is controlling who and who pulls the strings. So getting to our snowcat here, I kept it at speed or scale. It's about 25 feet long, has a crew of two. Now I do know that one of them said a crew of three. The only thing is that cabin only had two spots in there, so I just left it at that. Now in the other box art that we saw, it said up to 10 Joes could be on here. Um, I know on the back we could have, I think it was like two or maybe even four foot pegs on there, and on the side I see one and I see two right here. Um, so if we have two, three, four, five, and six, and then maybe four Joes on the back, that's our 10. Um, I don't know. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm just going to say it's only meant for two, but if we pile people on there, we do. Um, if you feel that it's got to be changed or whatever, by all means, go for it. Cargo capacity, I gave it about 600 pounds or roughly about 272 kilograms. Full coverage, it is ground level. I gave it a maneuverability of 2D, just figuring a good starting point. And I figured this is going to go about 50 miles an hour. Now, I don't remember if I got that off of one of the schematics or if it was on a file card or something there, but I do remember finding it, and that's what I had it at, or roughly about 80 kilometers an hour for movement here. Body strength, I gave it a 4. I figured it's going to be a little bit armored here, so I figured 4D would be a good representation of that. We have 4 missile launcher, a 4 rack of missiles, and 40 rounds. So I'm thinking underneath here we're going to have room for rounds. Trying to keep this to what it is. I know that I had mentioned, hey, it'd be kind of great if we had some sort of machine gun, like a 50 caliber machine gun or equivalent laser cannon up on top. Just leaving this as what it is, I left it here. Now, it doesn't mean that if we were playing this and the guy said, hey, I want to maybe strip one missile out of there or strap it on the top there, or however we wanted to work it out, redo the turret itself to accommodate a laser cannon or 50 caliber machine gun or some other machine gun or whatever, we'd figure that out. Uh, of course, the missiles are going to be at speeder scale. I figured a fire control of 2D plus 2. I'm thinking you have a driver here and then you have a gunner. So my thought was he would have some sort of computer guidance system to try and help. Um, we're doing 7D damage per missile. and we have our snow torpedoes. And it is speeder scale. Fire control, I did not put anything in there. I think it said it was heat guided, so I'm going to put it as a 3D. And damage is 60. Um, I know that these are a little bit larger as far as torpedoes or as far as missiles themselves go in comparison to the two of them, but I'm thinking a little bit more of this might be propellant. Seeing that it is going onto the ground, it might need a little extra propellant to try and skid across the ground here. Um, so I'm just kind of looking at it in that regard. Unless we keep it at 60, and if you're saying that it is a physically larger missile and as a torpedo, it might try to go one size category higher, and then it would then be at Walker scale. So, um, we could play devil's advocate either way. Um, but right now, I think we'll leave it the way it is. Let me know in the comments if you think it should get changed. I'm always happy to listen to what everyone has to say. Uh, like I said, I'm never going to sit here and say I am the ultimate authority on any of this stuff. These are things that I really enjoy and everything. Um, but it's just one of those things. Sometimes I get an idea in my head, and sometimes I'm a little on the no, I wasn't thinking very clearly, you know. So I always acknowledge that. Um, but I think this is a pretty good representation of the snowcat. I think it really kind of brings it to the Star Wars universe that we're putting this in, um, and going from there. So, uh, we'll see how this all goes out. I still have to get the guys going on this at some point too. Um, they've been happy doing Fallout, so working on everything at one time, as always. So, um, hope you enjoy this series. It's always wonderful bringing this to you every day. We'll see you in the next video.